Jaguars with some trouble on defense? What?
We taking L's and we got to figure it out, but we don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Is this still the best defense in the NFL?
When you're playing like it.
Jalen Ramsey, one of the most polarizing, compelling stars, who we in the media love because, let's be honest, he gives us a good soundbite from here and there. But, Reggie, I got to ask you, if you're a teammate of him, what advice would you give Jalen Ramsey on how he's handling himself in his early career?
Yeah, I would tell Jalen to be humble and to also remember that even though we all play for different football teams, we're all coworkers, right? And just because you've had some early success in your short 3-year career does not give you the opportunity to go out and disrespect another man's grind, because you don't know what that man had to do, what he had to overcome to get here. You don't know what sacrifices these guys have made to get here. How many times do we hear about players having to support 3 or 4 families back home? And for a lot of guys, for a lot of players, football has to work out. This is our plan A, B, and C. And I also think that we live in a scary time because I think social media teaches young people to do things just for the likes. You may not necessarily believe in it, but it's like, oh, did you hear what Jalen Ramsey said about Tyreek Hill? Did you hear what he said about so-and-so? And when you do these interviews like that, you're making it about yourself. And there's no I in team in this sport.
No, there isn't. That's a great opportunity to segue into. He's had a short career and has success. Yeah. But just because you had a little bit of success, you're talking about guys that, honestly, you haven't even played against.
Right.
They're doing things they've done and doing and traveled and experienced, things you are hoping to pray to do, and you were hoping to pray to do in college to get at this moment, and all of a sudden you forget how you got here. And I agree, we all co-workers, but there's also a rank and order and a respect in this game. Just because you have success doesn't mean that you can really talk down to other guys. And here's the part that I dislike about it all. It's not the confidence. It's the fact that you're talking about guys that technically you haven't even played against. And that just comes across ignorant, to be honest. Not saying that he's ignorant, but just ignorant is lack of lack of knowledge and the knowledge of playing against some of these guys.
It's different if he's racking up picks week after week and shutting guys down because he's then backing up what he's saying, but that's not been the case so far this season, Kyle.
Oh, listen, my idol was Deion Sanders growing up, and he would say, water covers 2/3 of the earth, I cover the rest. I loved it. Deion was Defensive Player of the Year. Deion's one of the best players ever. What I worry about Jalen, it becomes more about the talk than the play. We've seen some average corners who do a lot of talking. I want to see him become a great corner and a great talker.
And he has the ability to be that great corner.
You know, Steve.
He can play. He's not a guy that we're talking about saying, oh, be quiet and play. He is an outstanding player. But sometimes you have to, and somebody's watching this saying, oh, really, Steve? Sometimes you'll chirp. But at the end of the day, when you're in between those white lines, you got to lock in and you got to produce. He has the ability to produce. He just needs to talk less and play better because I believe he has the ability to be one of the best corners to play this game right now.
Steve gets me fired up.
How is Big Ben
We'll see how it figures. We can talk about this all day long. We've got a game that will, of course, happen right behind us at Wembley. It's an electric vibe here at Wembley. The fans filling in, thousands and thousands of fans at Wembley in London. Our Good Morning Football Weekend crew is at NFL Films, as always. We'll hand it over to them now. Colleen, take it away.
What's up, Colleen?
Hey, hey, hey. All right, so let's get into Jalen Ramsey a little bit more here. I was actually looking at his numbers. On 35 targets, he's only allowed 18 catches and 226 yards. But the talk that they were just talking about off the field and everything, I mean, some guys sort of have to pump themselves up, and they do it by talking trash. But do you think his behavior sort of works against him?
I think there are times where his behavior does work against him. If the team doesn't necessarily perform the way that he thinks the team should perform, then you get the episodes like we saw a couple weeks ago where he's giving short answers and he really doesn't get respect in the media that particular way. I think Jalen needs to understand he is a leader on this team. And what he says has consequences to the things, what he says has consequences. And what he should be saying are things that are bringing the team together, not creating division, not creating situations where it's going to be harder for them to work. You get what I'm saying? But they do have an issue in this locker room. The offense isn't very good. The offense just isn't very good. I'm just being honest. I mean, I understand his frustration.
They're not, you know, we talked about the lack of respect toward the media.
Yeah.
And I said it was a lack of respect because if you're not answering questions, you're wasting your time, you're wasting their time, you're wasting everybody's time. But I think that there's something to be said for the fact that he's not talking because I know what he wants to say and he doesn't want to be disrupted. I feel like he's right on the cusp right now, and they've had conversations with him inside the building to kind of make sure that they keep his head right and they keep this thing from boiling over.
What do you think will happen if they lose today?
I think it might boil over.
But again, they can't be upset. Look, they should have tried to nip some of this stuff that Jalen Ramsey did in the bud a long time ago. What about last year when he tried to guarantee the fact that they're going to win a Super Bowl? You can't all of a sudden now, say it's okay for me to talk my trash and be me when we're winning, but now that we're losing, I'll calm down a little bit.
And walk it back.
Yeah, you can't walk that back now. To me, it's a little bit too late. This is who the guy is.
There is a difference between the trash talk that goes outward